So without further ado, I'd like to bring in our special guest. She is a former two-time OVW champion. She is a former Queens of Combat champion. She is an inaugural Queens of Combat tag team champion. She has been an Impact, Ring of Honor, WWE. She has an exciting podcast on Tuesdays called Talks with Taeler Hendrix on Russo Brand. And let me bring Taeler in. She also has a very exciting YouTube channel, youtube.com/Taeler Hendrix. Taeler, welcome to the show.
Thank you all so much for having me. What an introduction. Thank you.
I probably missed a few things because you've got all these accomplishments. You're doing all kinds of cool stuff. And an accomplished author. I meant to mention that as well.
That's the important part, right?
It is.
Yes.
Okay, maybe to me.
Seriously, I think if my mother's proud of anything that I have personally done, it's becoming a published author. My mother was a huge reader, and growing up, she was always into books. She actually wrote her own book as a teenager. So I think, published author is definitely pretty high up on the list.
I am a quarter of the way through my third book, and so I actually came out of the murky depths of the comment section just to talk to you about it, because it's to me a really big achievement. It's very hard, and I've read them, and they're adorable, by the way.
Oh my God! Thank you so much. Just hearing somebody else talk about the process of writing a book, people might think it is so easy, and it's not. Nope. There'd be a great idea, and if you don't get it written down right away, it just pops out of your head like Pringles out of a can. It's gone. And then second guessing everything, and then trying to get artists, it's a lot that goes into it. So thank you for that.
Now, I'm sorry, honey, I don't want to commandeer your interview.
Go ahead.
Okay. So did you always want to write children's books, or have you had some other ideas rattling around in your brain?
Well, Shannon, honestly, I always wanted to be a Renaissance woman. I want to do it all. I want to see it all. I have one life, and to me, I want to, at the end of my journey, I want to be able to look back subliminally, so to speak, at the little girl that I was who had these big, lofty dreams, and kind of say to her, we did some epic shiz. Thank you so much for, daring to dream, because I think for me personally, I'm a preschool teacher. And I also worked for the YMCA for their after-school programs and their summer camps. So I got to work with a lot of different kids from a lot of different walks of life, so a lot of different circumstances. I was a personal aid and care for kids with Asperger's and autism. I worked with people with Down syndrome. I even got to work with a girl that was deaf. So for me, I saw it was pretty much any sort of walk of life. There was one thing that they all had in common, just one thing in particular. It was everybody projecting their own limiting beliefs onto children. And that just blew my mind. That drove me so crazy, because I think all of us right now have all felt that. He's saying, oh, well, you just go get that 9 to 5, or, oh, well, you couldn't possibly achieve that. You're not pretty enough. You're not successful enough. You don't have a big enough house, a nice enough car, this many labels, that many followers and subscribers, swipe rights, whatever the case may be, right? And so when I was working with all of these kids, I saw that so much. And I found to be true that the one commonality is that small minds kill more dreams than the act of children growing up with confidence and self-esteem and integrity, and getting the tools to go out into the world and try, even if they fail, at least they could have tried to achieve those dreams. And so that was the main factor in why I started with children's books. I know that's kind of long-winded, but to me, it was a very interesting notice as a young 20-something-year-old wrestling and then being a teacher and seeing all these different things.
To me, that seems, sorry, honey. To me, in reading the books, that seems very on point with the whole book about Trish and her wish, the idea that you want to do something that isn't done, that you can't have those dreams, bigger dreams, right? And they try to squish her down, and she lives a bigger life than what they told her that she could, even though she's been rejected 100 times. So is there a little bit of autobiographical content there?
In each one of them, yes. Trish the Fish was actually A Fish with a Wish is was actually based off a haiku I had to write in 6th grade. So I've been sitting on that idea for many years, just, in my back pocket. And Nosy Rosie and the Secret Surprise about Rosie the Elephant was actually last book that I published last year, I believe. That was actually the most recent project that I had worked on. I started working on that when I was coming in and out of WWE as an extra. And when I got told no after my WWE tryout, I really went into this sort of journey of self-discovery, so to speak, like, in essence, to say, when one door closes and it was never really open, who's to say you can't knock down that door? Or who's to say that that may have been a blessing in disguise, because now you have a different opportunity to perhaps go out and achieve even more wild dreams than what you had set for yourself. Maybe there's a bigger picture there for you, but you have to figure out who you are first and foremost before you can even do that. So that was the really big part behind Nosy Rosie. And then my first book, It's Not Easy Being a Sloth. Well, first off, sloths are my favorite jungle animal besides Black Panther. I love sloths so much. Sloths. Instagram has so many amazing videos on YouTube. But that one was just about how many people, the wrestling business too, and how, like, a lot of people try to put you in a box and say you can't do something and you don't fit this mold, and they want to, again, project all their limiting beliefs onto you for their own means, their own agendas with. And then, you need to learn how to believe in yourself, that impossible really means part of Nosy Rosie. It's not easy being a sloth. So yeah.
I see that too. I see that in real life with our son. Our son is 21 years old, and they spent his entire high school career telling him, you might work at Starbucks, you have to pick the right degree, blah, blah, blah. Instead of saying, oh my God, you get to go to college, it's going to be amazing. It's that they temper all of their enthusiasm, and they squish them down, as opposed to saying, my God, this is going to be amazing. And
Shannon,
you're right, it's nice to have.
You are absolutely spot on, Shannon. I think I have a cousin who's 18 turning 19, and I love him so dearly. He's so precious to me. I told him when he turned 18, do not get caught up in all the pressure that is coming your way. You do not have to have your life figured out yet. You do not even have to understand who you are yet. You're supposed to go out into the world and figure that out through experiences. You still have rose-colored goggles on. Just because you can vote and all these other different things does not necessarily make you an adult. Like, go out and figure out how to be that adult you want to be and what you want to do and all this other stuff. And I think that 21-year-olds, it's the same thing. It's absolutely the same thing. There's all this pressure, just figure it out, just like experience, become who you're.
Yeah, you're allowed to be wrong too. You're allowed to say, you know what, I tried that, it didn't work, I'm going to try something else, and it's not a mistake. It just didn't work, and sometimes that's okay to just walk away and go, I learned, that's good enough.
Heck yes. Okay. I say fail. Fail. And everybody's going to think that's ridiculous for whoever's going to be listening to this. But fail. Please go out and try whatever it is you want to do and fail. Please fail, because failure is a necessary step to success. You learn more from failure than you do from success. And when you fail and when you're losing, you're going to find out who your real friends are. You're also going to find out how strong you truly are as a person. And to me, I forgot who said this, but I read this somewhere. They said rock bottom is the solid foundation upon which to rebuild your life, and once you get back to the top, the view is going to be amazing because you worked that much harder for it. So please fail, because you're going to learn how to succeed and learn from other people's failures so you don't have to make those mistakes. Absolutely.
Yes. Wise words.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because, like, you did all this work during the pandemic, and we've seen a lot of people really utilize that downtime. Obviously, it was a terrible thing that we're going through or coming out of the other end, but there are some people like yourself that were able to take this downtime and make it a productive growth period. Was that something you consciously did, or it just sort of happened?
I'm not sure, honestly. I think yes and no, because yeah, that's actually a very good question. That's very difficult. I think yes and no. I think the pandemic, I think it presented an opportunity where it was like, why not me and why not now? in wrestling, I've been wrestling most of my life, like half of my life pretty much. I started when I was just 17 years old. I was still in high school. I didn't know my hand from my elbow. I didn't know who I was. Got photo shoots, eyelashes, nothing. Oh gosh, it's embarrassing. Like every awkward adolescent moment was in wrestling. And that's there forever. Not just a family photo, but the internet, everything. So I always felt, I had to strive for perfection, strive for this, strive for that. Delaying goals, delaying moments, delaying happiness, and delaying success because, it's not perfect. It's not the right time. It's not perfect. So recovering perfectionist, I guess. Perfectionism or being a perfectionist, I think it's unfair because I think that putting your own standards onto somebody else and they're not you. And that could be a crushing weight to somebody else, or that couldn't even be a challenge to somebody to be like, all right, I can do that in my sleep, So I think I would say definitely recovering perfectionist for sure is how I would put that. So when the happened, I decided, you know what, stop delaying who I want to be and start actively showing people who I am as a person, not who other people want to believe about me and want other people to believe, but who I am as a person and all the things that I've ever dreamed of and gone after. So when all of this happened, I said, you know what? Why not me? Why not now? It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. It just has to be candid. And so, if there's a spelling error or punctuation and grammar, which is not my strong suit, I can't remember anything because of wrestling, it's okay. Do it. If you want to get into podcasting like I did, and I didn't know about microphones and everything else, figure it out, get some help. And so that was kind of the attitude that I approached with everything, and hey, you got to bet on yourself before anyone else will, right? So I guess in a roundabout way, it was conscious, but it was also not.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And, I've watched some of your vlogs and I've listened to your podcasts and just briefly, like Shannon and I, our first women's wrestling show was Queens of Combat 2016. You were our champion.
Yep.
And as supporters of women's wrestling, that was our first show where we're like, holy crap, this is a thing like that's happening at an independent level.
Mm-hmm.
And we were so excited. We were like, we have to see all the shows. And we've been to all the shows, right? And you fast forward to today, and women's wrestling, there are major promotions all over the globe featuring women in prominent positions of athleticism and combat sports. And so much has changed in just that 6-year period. Obviously, it's been a longer journey than that. But for us as fans, we've seen so much change in that 6 years. But your career started, way before that. Like, how do you feel about, where we are today versus, in your debut back in like 07, 08?
It's a mixed bag, I think I personally believe in being true with your authenticity and being honest, because I feel like when you have honest conversations with authenticity, you help other people, and then we can all be a part of someone else's survival guide. So, how would I put this? Would it have been nice to have the opportunities that we see today back then? 1,000%. I would be lying if I said no. But however, I don't think I would be the person I am today if I had those opportunities way back then like everybody else does now. I had a lot of character building years, a lot of bone breaking years that made me the person I am today. So as much as I would like to say, yeah, I would have loved that way earlier in my career, I worked really hard to be the person I am right now talking to both of you. So I don't think I would change that. But it is very nice to see other really deserving women getting opportunities. I would also like opportunities, but I have no problem working really, really, really hard for them. I try to outwork myself every day. But the journey from the time that you mentioned when I debuted to now it's impeccable. It is amazing. It's awe-inspiring. These women are so talented. They are beautiful. They are fierce. I mean, I have so much respect for quite a few of them that it kind of circles around into objectification. like, you are on fire. You are so hot. Like, girl, do you like, I love wrestling, whether it's men's wrestling or women's wrestling, doesn't matter. I've always loved wrestling. And so when I get to see other people succeeding, that's amazing, because means it opens up more opportunity. And that's why I think this business is built on. It's built on childhood dreams, and the more opportunities there are, can seize those opportunities and fulfill their childhood dreams. And that's what's not to love about that. So I love what's going on. There's very little I would change about what's going on right now. But I definitely sense that there's been a shift in the character building aspect of the industry, where people are paying a lot less dues today than they did back when I was debuting. The ring crew, and setting up the chairs and being the first one there, the last one to leave, paying for all these different seminars, and leaving your bag in the car so you don't seem presumptuous and pushy and egotistical, and then having that little manila envelope with your 8x10 and your resume, and showing up dressed to the nines, and then doing ring crew in high heels and all this other craziness. But yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Now, do you think? Wait, hang on, honey. Wait a minute. Now, do you think that? Back when you started, social media was around, but it wasn't like it is now, right? Everything we do is steeped in social media, and the comments can be a pretty ugly place. Do you think that you would have been affected by how difficult social media interaction is for new people who don't have that self-confidence that you have now?
I think anybody with confidence can still struggle. I mean, some of the single most successful people in the world don't even look at comments. Why? Because what does that do for them? It does absolutely nothing. It tears them down. It is so much easier to tear a person down than it is to build a person back up after being torn down. And I wasn't always this person. That's why I said I fought so hard to be this person. I was not comfortable in my own skin my entire career. I always thought I was super ugly. I never looked at myself as beautiful. I always felt like I was too much of something for everyone. I was too fat. I was too skinny. I was too long in the tooth. I was too fair skinned, too redheaded, too wrestler. Yeah, I actually was told that one time. I'm too much of a wrestler. I don't wrestle like a man. You're a woman, and just you're always too much of something for everybody. But I learned that those just aren't your people, and that's okay. There are billions of people in the world. You can't expect every single one of those billions of people to love you. And you kind of have to love yourself first and foremost, cheer for yourself in the silence, let your success be your noise. And I was definitely, I don't like to say victim, but yeah, I definitely fell party to those brutal internet wrestling community comments. I mean, I didn't wear red lipstick for years because of a comment somebody made on a message board of all things about my face, wearing lipstick. So I definitely think with how much it is today, just based off of how much I dealt with back then, with the burgeoning of social media, I can't even imagine. And believe me, we all still get it. It's just not everybody acknowledges it. I mean, what you feed grows, what you starve dies. If you're always acknowledging trolls, you're going to send out the message that, hey, the way to get interactions with so-and-so is by being a troll. So yeah, don't pay it any mind, really, and don't look at it.
I agree.
That's an interesting that's an interesting thing, because I wanted to ask you specifically about that, because in today's day and age, what we see on TV can be two-dimensional from a storytelling perspective, right? Good versus evil, it's all very classic and it's all good. But when we see things like, one of my favorite feuds of the last 10 years was Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch, because of the story they told on and off screen and away from TV. They gave you a completely layered three-dimensional story where the fans and some of the people in wrestling weren't really sure what was happening. And I thought it was just absolutely brilliant. And both of you as storytellers and writers can appreciate the craft that it takes to use social media to further storylines. Is that something that you pay attention to?
Absolutely, because I see people doing it right and I see people doing it wrong all the time. And when you have the ability to put people in disbelief, you get rid of their crushing reality for a while and make them believe that wrestling is real again. That's money. The business has been so exposed for so long. It's been left open. a lot of the nuances are now known. And sometimes it seems like there's more fans in the back than there is in the seat. There's definitely a shift in the dynamic, So when you have people that can tell such a mouth-watering, juicy, awesome money-making story, that's magic. Why would you not want to put that over? That's absolutely spectacular. That's what the business was made for people to be entertained. Whether that's for 5 minutes, whether that's for 6 months to a year. It really all depends. And Becky Lynch has been somebody that has really excelled at that in the last few years. And I love that for her. I genuinely love that for her. I love Becky Lynch. I've been supporting her back in her Shimmer days. And I really love Ronda Rousey. Like she laid a lot of truth bombs on the business that I think people weren't ready for. And you kind of have to love that authenticity, that gumption to be able to do that. So thank you so much for bringing them up. They are absolutely phenomenal. As well as AJ Styles. I love that man to death. But yeah, when you have people that can do that and blur those lines so well that even people in the back don't necessarily know what's going on, that's amazing.
Good stuff.
Well, Ronda's a good example too, because she came in from the outside, obviously being a household name and having the success that she did in MMA, and then she was able to carefully meld her style, her martial arts with pro wrestling, to a style that was so physical and believable that no one was going to poke holes in it, right? Because she is who she is. That she's capable of what she's capable of. And we're seeing Shayna Baszler, we're seeing, Sonya Deville, we're seeing the influence of MMA with female athletes throughout the pro wrestling industry. Do you gravitate towards that style of wrestling, or how do you feel about that?
Well, first off, Ronda Rousey is a badass in all respects. I think people need to put a little bit more respect on her name. Not only is she, one of the top selling UFC athletes of all time, she's also an Olympian, and she's a WWE superstar who puts butts in seats. That's the key thing. Who is selling? Who is making money? Who is putting butts in seats? Who is making people buy those pay-per-views, not out of an obligation? Oh, well, it'll pass the time. No, who is making people excited to want to be involved with wrestling again and wanting to go to these events and doing these things? So I think people need to put a little bit more respect on that, because when Ronda Rousey does well, it doesn't just help the women's division, it also helps the men as well, because it's a business. They all coincide together. It's not women versus men. I hate that. I hate that so much. We're all in this business. And when one gender succeeds, it doesn't mean at the expense of the other gender. Not at all. Not at all. It helps everyone. And I think that's missed. And I think Ronda Rousey does a great job of that. Roman Reigns has been excelling at that recently in WWE. Him and Paul Heyman. I keep using that word, but to me it's just so perfect. Ingenious. They have such innate talent. It just exudes from them, and it's money. It is so good. So for me, I think her realism is definitely an attraction that I enjoy. I like that aspect. I like that style. But the reason why I like it is because it's different. It's not something that you see everybody doing. It's not watered down yet. There are some people that are doing it that maybe shouldn't. And I'm not saying WWE, I'm just saying in general. But Ronda Rousey is going to be Ronda Rousey. You can't duplicate her. There's only one Ronda Rousey for a reason. There's only one you, one Shannon, one me for a reason. So, I like a lot of different aspects of wrestling. I like some strong style wrestling in there. I love authentic lucha libre, and I also really love like that Memphis, Tennessee stomp, old school, stuff down south. And I also really love like the East Coast style. Different parts of the country all have different styles, and it's so much fun to kind of blend yourself into it, so to speak, whichever show you're on. Like you're not necessarily, if you're smart, you're not going to have the same match in New York at the Hammerstein Ballroom that you would have, say in Nashville, Tennessee. You're going to switch it up a little bit. Just like you're not going to have the same match at the ECW arena that you would possibly have in, say, Vancouver, Canada. That's what's exciting. It's so different. And I really like that. I think it challenges you as a performer. And I think that's my favorite part, is being able to use your gimmick and blend yourself into working with whoever you're working with and create some really awesome chemistry and a really cool story. That would be my ultimate favorite part about the styles that you're referencing with Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Shannon and I have been in the room when Ronda's appeared at Raw, and the energy in the venue changes.
Yes.
Like shit's about to go down. Like, yep. Things just got really serious, and you're going to see something special. And you don't get that from very many people. Maybe Brock Lesnar, but not many others. And she's such an asset to the company. In fact, if you put her on the Peacock splash page for the pay-per-view for WrestleMania, 36 million subscribers are going to know who that is more than probably anybody else on the roster. So not only is she excellent as an in-ring competitor, she's coached by Paul Heyman behind the scenes, and she has a recognizable household. I think she's great. I mean, we're huge fans. So
it's hard to believe that at one point somebody was saying that, that she wouldn't headline, that women wouldn't headline, that they wouldn't draw money. And you think, really? Now you look at it and think, what a silly concept that was.
But see, people still say that. That's why you can't listen to all the negative noise. You have to block out the comments, block out the noise. People will have an excuse for everything. And that's, again, their own limiting beliefs, their own negativity that they want to project onto somebody else and drag them down too, because misery loves company for a reason. You can't be a candle in the wind and not expect to get blown out. That's what it's like. So Ronda Rousey has created awesome trust equity with the WWE universe. She's earned that. And, the WWE universe knows whatever she's in, she's going to deliver one way or another. And she has brand recognition from being an Olympian, from being one of the top sellers of all time with UFC, and now with the WWE and being a highlighted main eventer. That's brand awareness, because each wrestler, each superstar is a brand in and of themselves. And I think that that's something that should be taught in more wrestling schools, but isn't necessarily taught. And for the money that you pay for wrestling schools, you really, really should. And that's something that I think Lucha Patron does so well, is brand recognition and awareness. Like they just, the way they do things is just so remarkable to me. They are so true to themselves. They're authentic lucha libre, and just the way they build a show, and they're so loyal and communicative with their audience. It really makes you a true part of the show while being your own brand up with a bigger brand. It's amazing. And I think that needs to catch on more and a lot faster.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've only recently become aware of Lucha Patron, and I've seen them grow exponentially in recent months. And my communications with them have all been very positive. I could see that they're building a community. So I'm just super excited to see what they have coming up next.
Yes, it's so exciting. April 16th in Santa Rosa is their next show that I'm on. I'm super excited. The last time I was in Santa Rosa was January of 2020. So right before stuff hit the fan, and they've just given me a platform to be able to show everyone who I am as a performer, as an artist, as, as an athlete and everything else. I love getting to work for them. The fans, they're the best out there. They are so loud. They're so into it. It makes you feel like when I was a kid watching it on TV. That's what Lucha Patron feels like every time I set foot in their ring. It is such an interactive experience with extremely loyal fans and tons of families. You'll see families of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10 people coming to enjoy it together as a family, like a big event. It's just the coolest experience. And then whatever you're doing in the ring is actually truly appreciated. Like those bumps that you're putting your life on the line to take, a lot of times go unnoticed, and there it doesn't. Everything is noticed. They're so into it. They're so loud and crazy and awesome and loyal. It is so cool. I cannot wait to head back to Lucha Patron in April.
That's very cool.
Also, I just wanted to say that not only have I really enjoyed getting to work in front of those fans, I've also enjoyed working in the locker room with a lot of the people that I've been able to work with. Backstage, like I've gotten to learn a lot from Hernandez, who was recently on your show, and having him really just help me and kind of help me learn how to lift myself up has just been invaluable. And Extreme Tiger is such a pro, dating back to his TNA days and through on to today. His work ethic is top notch. Like, he is just such a great asset to any company, and I've really just enjoyed getting to learn from those kinds of men who have so much experience, and they're willing to teach if you ask for it, and I've just really felt blessed to have that at this point in my career.
It's always great to hear that veterans are willing to work with younger talents the way that, guys like Hernandez are, because so often you see people, the crotchety old guys just shaking their fists at the sky. But when you see that there's, these seasoned veterans who are just wanting to make the business better, helping men and women, throughout, it's very encouraging.
1,000%. Sometimes people say don't meet your heroes, but sometimes it really is worth it. Getting to learn. I learned so much from like Mickie James and Lisa Marie Barron. Just so many people, Bruce Pritchard, Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff. I feel really blessed to have been able to listen and learn from so many different people who have achieved different variations of what I want to achieve or where I want to go or things that I am passionate about. So anytime I can name drop people to kind of put some positivity in their direction, I love it. Like, I love getting to talk with Vicky Guerrero and, getting to just all kinds of different people with different experiences that you can learn different things from, to move forward in life.
Yeah, definitely. And so Taeler, I know I can't thank you enough for your time tonight, and I want to be respectful of your time, but before you go, I did bring something to show you. It's a Philip J. Coulson, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And of course, it's a Philip J. Coulson, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. badge.
Shut up, no way.
And as you know, Billy Koenig will tell you, lanyards are awarded on a case-by-case basis, right? So
that is tremendous. I so want to embody being the Madam Hydra of pro wrestling. I do. It's so good. Like, I have that villain in me, I swear. It was really cool. So many people made fun of me and stuff for like putting that out on social media, but like I actually got it into like an email conversation with the casting people for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So
that's amazing.
Actually, like,
wow.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, like, to bring it back all the way to the beginning about my children's books, like, it doesn't matter what anybody else says, even if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, you can still get somewhere. And nobody can take that stuff away from you. Like, nobody can take that email away from me. Like, nobody can take away that. I got to go to WWE in 2015, and I had this like crazy experience. It was amazing. It made me feel so vindicated for all my training at OVW, and all the stuff I'm doing now. With releasing my first novel, and running my own YouTube channel and my podcast, and being a contributing writer for Fightful and Pop Wrapped. Like, nobody can take that away, really. It's so amazing. So that's so cool that you have that. And Shannon, I am so happy that you both went to Queens of Combat. I really loved, getting to work those shows with all of those women. I wish, Chelsea Green and I didn't have that big, huge gap where we could have been able to, extend that run. That would have been so awesome. And then, I love wrestling, and I want to just say thank you for having me on. When Lucha Patron approached me with this opportunity, I was like, absolutely, let's talk wrestling. Let's talk about Taeler Hendrix for a little bit. Let's talk about pro wrestling and everything that's going on. I blocked out an hour for you guys, so you do not have to worry about wasting my time. When I get to talk to people about stuff I love, it's never a waste of time.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, again, we can't thank you enough. I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time, since the first time we met. Before you go, one more thing. Shannon and I are from Massachusetts, and we understand your struggle. We grew up in Massachusetts. We grew up near Worcester, Massachusetts. So, fellow New Englanders, we understand.
You guys, you can always take yourselves out of Massachusetts, but Massachusetts never leaves you. If I'm really, really steamed and like really wicked angry, my Boston comes out.
Yeah.
It is a whole different
Yeah.
experience. But,
And you
I
can
am
recognize each other, right? You can tell. I mean, if John Cena opens his mouth, I go, "Oh yeah." You know what I mean? If you didn't even know, as a New Englander, you recognize each other somehow. I don't know why, but you can.
Yes, he was from West Newbury, Mass, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was on so many different shows with his dad for like so many years. It was so funny. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I did not know you were both from Massachusetts. So
Yep.
we have multiple published authors from Massachusetts. That's amazing. Pro
See?
wrestling is alive and well in New England. It's one of the best
Yes.
hot spots, and California is making a huge comeback as a hot spot in wrestling. So that's like super exciting. I hope you guys can make it out to a Lucha Patron show coming up very soon. That would be amazing. I know you guys are definitely busy up and down the East Coast. There is so much wrestling to see. I know you guys are huge fans of Mission Pro Wrestling. There is so much great stuff out there. I want you guys to be able to experience as much of it as you like. That would be super cool. Before I go, I just want to give a quick shout out to Lucha Patron for having me with you guys today. For anybody who's watching and or listening, you can see me wrestle live for Lucha Patron on April 16th of this year at the Santa Rosa Vets Hall. I had an open challenge, which was answered by none other than Lucian Delight, whose client was the last person I wrestled for Lucha Patron in January of 2020, Nina from the Philippines. He's kind of sticking his nose in my business, so I'm going to have to teach him what we do in Massachusetts, which is we don't leave the trash in the house, we take it out. So that's all I got to say about that. So I hope you guys, thank you so much for having me and putting me over so much. That was amazing. And I love getting to talk about all things wrestling and books. And I just had a great time with you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank
so
you.
much for coming.
And where can folks find you on all the socials?
Absolutely. Let me go on that laundry list real quick. I am sorry they're not all the same. There were fake me's on the social media platforms before the real me kind of got the scoop to go on those platforms. So on Twitter, you can find me with @Taeler_Hendrix. On Instagram, you can find me at Taeler Hendrix ROH. Ring of Hendrix. And you can find me on YouTube with youtube.com/Taeler Hendrix. And then I publish all of my stuff with Fightful.com, so you can find those on Twitter or on Google. And then my podcast is live every Tuesday, like was said in the intro, with Talks with Taeler Hendrix on russosbrand.com with Channel Attitude. And then you can find tickets, which are selling very fast for Lucha Patron, with luchapatron.com. And then all of my books, soon to be 4 children's books, and my first novel, Behind These Whispering Walls, will be available very soon on Amazon. And my first book, It's Not Easy Being a Sloth, is also available on barnesandnobles.com. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Taeler. Have a great evening.